Hey, this is Jamie from CapsuleComputers.com, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Capsule Computers Indie Spotlight. Today we have Lune from 6 French developers who are students at a French university. They're the university is dedicated to making video games. Unfortunately, my French is terrible, so I'm not going to butcher the school's name. Lune is all about controlling the moon. As you can see from the video right now, the moon can move left to right, or up and closer and further away from the world to affect the gravity on the world. So here we have our hero. This game is supposed to be a very reflective, solid, lonely game, and it really is. The music and the graphics just really combine together to this very intense feeling of loneliness that I think is absolutely wonderful. The mood in this game is just bang on to exactly what the developer said. Now, the only thing I really didn't like about this reflective thing is that, I guess, to force that very slow, meditative, reflective pacing, the developers has made it that this is literally the fastest the hero walks, as you can see. And it's really just a touch too slow. There are really some long walks between puzzles, and this pacing is just way too slow for my taste, and I don't think many people would actually have the patience to slowly walk through this whole thing. Now, the moon works its way into many of these puzzles. Some of the puzzles are light-based, so you have to change the angle of the moon to move the lights and shadows around to complete the puzzle. And some puzzles are actually gravity-based, where you need to bring the moon further and closer to adjust gravity. This puzzle is actually a really great demonstration of this. You'll see in a second that with the gravity as it is now, which is high gravity, our hero is actually unable to mantle this obstacle. But once I lower the gravity by pulling away the moon, suddenly I'm able to pull my weight over the rock and continue forward. Now, the UI in this game is really, really minimal. As you can see, there's only like 3 actual UI, I guess, parts to the UI. The bubble that lets you, as you can see right here, that allows you to either mantle or push objects around. The halo that is on the hero's backpack actually signifies the positioning of the moon. And finally, what is probably the most subtle of them all is actually the cursor that goes from a V to an X shape to show you that, in fact, you can or cannot interact with a certain area. Now, movement, as you can see, is just like a traditional adventure game. You point, you click, you get there. The visuals, I would describe them as a bit of comic-y. As you can see, very single colors. The shading is mostly coming from the shadows, and it's very muted with just a splash of color here or there, which I think is just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's not hyper photorealistic, but it's stylish, and it's very, very distinct. I think my favorite part of this game so far has actually been the audio. I've actually lowered the volume I normally use for episodes like this. I've actually had to do this as a voiceover because there was this really odd screeching noise when I tried to record while I was playing this game. Anyways, I've actually made this track a little quieter than I normally would because the soundtrack in Lune is very minimal. You can barely hear it in the sense that it doesn't really kick in except for certain points, and you can sort of hear like a bit of a noise in the background that's almost musical that kicks in here and there, and it really complements the very natural sounds like the water, the grinding that you hear in Lune. Honestly, I think the sound of a guy just hit this one out of the park. If I had to say one thing that I loved about this the most, it's got to be the sound. Now, Lune is currently in alpha. You can play it for free at the official Lune site using the Unity web player. It's currently in an alpha, but of course, because it's alpha, it's got some problems. Of course, the speed, and as you can see right now, some of the camera angles are still really awkward. Sometimes they're just bad angles, other times the camera is so far zoomed out it shows some really nice picturesque moments, but it's really hard to control because your character is literally like a centimeter or two on the screen, and it's really hard to see what you're doing or where you're going. Of course, there is no save function right now, which is a little annoying. While right now this alpha is a little on the short side, every time you boot up this alpha, you've got to start from the beginning. One thing I do like about this, however, is there are actually multiple ways to conquer certain puzzles. This is actually the first time you're about to see that I conquered this puzzle in this method. Previously, I've always used this boat to get across this area. However, I recently discovered that you can actually use this crate to bust open and the dock and actually create some stairs. The developer is really hoping that they can continue with this in the sense that there's going to be multiple ways to get through everything, and when you go back later, there's always something new to discover. Lune is one of those games that are really, really taking some risks, and some of them pay off and some of them don't, but it's probably one of the excellent example of being able to take risks that most publishers would probably not let you take. Lune has a chance to be something really fantastic, and I really hope with some developer support and some dedication and some feedback from the fans, I really hope that this is going to turn into a fantastic indie game. If you want to find out more about it, you can check out my full preview. Actually, it's not a review, it's a preview at the link below at capsulecomputers.com. And just be wary, there are some bugs. It is an alpha. You're about to actually see one. It's a game-ending one. So, I hope you enjoyed this indie spotlight on Lune, and I'll catch you on our next episode.